Avoid these common mistakes, mastering should, ought to, and had better in reported speech. Hello, English learners. Today, we're going to take a deep dive into the exciting world of reported speech, with a special focus on the modal verbs should, ought to, and had better. These verbs can be tricky to report correctly, but don't worry, by the end of this video, you'll be confidently navigating these potential pitfalls. Let's get started. First things first, let's make sure we understand what should, ought to, and had better mean in direct speech. These verbs express advice or expectation. For example, you should study for the exam. You ought to call your mother. You had better start saving money. In each of these sentences, the speaker is giving advice or expressing an expectation. When we move these verbs into reported speech, we need to maintain their meaning while shifting the perspective. Here's how. You should study for the exam becomes, she said that I should study for the exam. You ought to call your mother becomes, he suggested that I ought to call my mother. You had better start saving money becomes, she warned me that I had better start saving money. Notice how the verbs should, ought to, and had better don't change in reported speech. The tricky part is making sure we shift the perspective correctly. So where do people often stumble? A common mistake is to change the modal verb when reporting speech. For example, saying, she said that I must study for the exam, instead of, she said that I should study for the exam. While must and should can both express obligation, they do so to different degrees and in different contexts. When reporting speech, it's crucial to keep the verb the same to accurately report the advice or expectation. Another mistake is failing to correctly shift the perspective. For example, you ought to call your mother should not be reported as, he suggested that he ought to call his mother. The correct report is, he suggested that I ought to call my mother. Well, there you have it. The secrets to correctly reporting should, ought to, and had better in English. Remember, keep the verb the same and shift the perspective. That's your key to success. We hope you found this video helpful. Keep practicing, and you'll soon master these nuances of reported speech. Thanks for watching, and happy learning.